Hello, Chris. Hello.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Last night you watched semifinal 2 live. I caught up this morning and we're ready to discuss Destination Eurovision in France. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Allez-vous ça? Yes, the lineup for the final of France's Eurovision 2018 selection is now complete. Last night we learned the final 4 qualifiers. They are Madame, Monsieur, Max Cinnamon, Nassi, and Igit. I gotta say, I'm really, really pleased with Madame Monsieur. They came out on top and they deserved it. This song is just amazing. This has instantly kind of jumped to the top of my brain. It is not leaving. This is what France needs to send to Eurovision. I'm just going to lay it out there. I love her voice. It's dark, mysterious, emotional, powerful, and in tune. She's, among the best vocalists, if not the best vocalist we've had in this contest. There was not a flaw. She looked great, looked original. I like him on the side. Powerful message behind the song that many people will relate to, and yet it's not annoying. Sometimes songs with messages, you're like, cringe. You don't get cringe here. It just feels very organic and natural, based on a true story, and it shows. Chris, I'm going to stop talking. I could go on forever. I love this. I love it.
See, so I did the same thing I did last week where I didn't listen to any of the snippets beforehand. And then I accidentally heard a bit of Mercy. Like it came on my Spotify when I was just listening to the France playlist available on the wiwibloggs Spotify. And I was like, oh, this doesn't sound like anything. And then I just skipped it, stopped listening. Then I saw it perform live and I was just blown away. The emotion that she conveys, and it's not over the top at any point. It's all very subtle and restrained, and that's what makes it more powerful, I think. I loved the backdrop. Everything about it worked. I think they did kind of look like stereotypical electro-pop band a little bit, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And, she's stunning as well, Madame. I'm not entirely sure what her actual name is, but yes, I'm sure we will find out in due course, because I do think that this should be what France sends. And it's doing so well on iTunes as well in France at the moment that at this point, I actually can't see it not winning. So, yeah, really.
Yeah, it crosses generations. It's poppy, yet it's mature. It's accessible, yet very sophisticated. It's hard to strike that balance, and they've done it. The mayor of Paris was tweeting her support last night for them. They're reaching all echelons of society. I like the song isn't just depressing. It could have just been a depressing dirge. They're in black. But at the end, she's dancing a little jig. There's a bit of joy. And mercy becomes merci. Hope and thanks. These are very important themes related to, the Mediterranean, refugees, migrants. It's a full picture, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because it could have just been black and depressing, but it's not. There is that hope. And final point for me, in terms of language, mercy and merci work in both French and English. Like, people get those words. If you're not a French speaker, you understand mercy and merci.
Yeah.
It just works. I could see this going top 5 at Eurovision if they got their staging right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it runs the risk of maybe if the staging isn't quite there. I think it could maybe be a 7 through 10, kind of like a Maria kind of finish. But there is definite potential there. And it's a lot of the time at Eurovision, these songs that do have a message, they do try and hit you over the head with it. Yeah. Voltage, obviously, that was very much like they showed the kid at the end. Like, as long as they don't do something like that, it will be fine. If they keep it very simple, like they had last night, I think they'll sail to definitely the top 10.
Built-in media story. The media will attach to this. It's very current. Au courant. Bam. All right. Second place last night went to Max Cinnamon. He is a teenager. This is his kind of competitive TV debut, and he was really not fazed at all. He sounds fantastic. The kid can sing. There's a Shawn Mendes vibe. The song, yes, it's a little generic, you might say. It's basically taking a Shawn Mendes song and putting it in the French language, but I really liked it. I think he sells it. His youth works in his favor. There's confidence there. There's also just this endearing, adorable quality. You're kind of like rooting him on. You're like, well done, you keep going. I don't think this is Eurovision ready. I don't think he even last night, even though he was confident, I just felt like, okay, this is an upstart. I could feel that. But I think in the future, he is really one to watch. He's going to slay the music scene.
Yeah, you could tell there were lots of little things he was doing, like he was holding the mic a bit too much. He seemed a bit you could tell that he's not used to performing on TV, I think, was the thing. And I think that is something that they should build on. You know, you could send him probably next year in 2 years and he would kill it. The problem is I really enjoyed it when it was on. And now, you know, sort of like 18 hours later, I don't remember a thing about the song. And I've listened to it again since then. And it just doesn't stick. And I kind of feel like it could get lost at Eurovision as well. But he's very endearing, and he certainly is. He's really likable, and that will get him votes. I'm sure that there will be lots of young girls watching who will vote for him as well. So, yeah, there's a chance. I don't think he'll win, because I do think a few of the songs from the first semi-final will probably go ahead of him as well. But I can see why he did well, and I can see why he nearly won last night as well. Certainly, live, yeah, it is impressive in the moment.
Third place went to Nassi, Kids' Dreams, Reves de Gamin. Look, I love the chorus and the riff. I think that's very memorable, particularly in the studio cut. However, live, I think he's a bit stiff. I think that it's a bit awkward, and I'm not sure that he's vocally... I don't want to say vocally competent. I think he needs to work on his vocals, because the studio cut is great, but live, this is just not working. The dancing was awkward. It was curious to me that Christer Bjorkman gave this 12 points, because it's almost like he wants to ensure that Sweden gets its 7th win or something, and like he's like sending or voting for a good song, but not the best song, which would have been Madame Monsieur's Mercy.
Yeah, the dancing just didn't make sense. Like the dancers were dressed kind of like old-fashioned school children, and I get that's, you know, that the kids thing is part of the song, but then he was doing like a kind of almost like Turkish, Mediterranean kind of dance, North African. That whole kind of thing he was doing just didn't seem to match up. And it just came across a bit cringy live. Like the fist bumping and all that. It was like, oh no, don't. Like, you can tell it is a good song. On Spotify, it does sound really good, but just the actual performance, he's got a week to maybe change it. And I hope they do, because there is certainly potential here. And maybe cut out some of the dancing for him, because I wonder whether that's where some of the vocal issues may have been. Like he was just getting a bit too involved in it all. If he strips it back and they just kind of keep some kind of performance, but not that, I think is the key thing.
And he was joint third, actually, with Igit, with Lisboa Jerusalem. Now, I did listen to the snippets beforehand, and this snippet was promising. It had that kind of Amelie cinematic feel, but live, it just felt a bit amateur. It didn't have the same power live. And like at the beginning, I was like, it was like he was clowning, or like this was some Marcel Marceau French mime school stuff. I don't know. It just felt sparse. And I was waiting for that moment, and it just never really came. I liked the visuals a lot. Great use of the map. But yeah, I don't think this is a contender, but I do love his voice, and I think maybe with a bit more seasoning, he, you know, could have something going on. But right now, it's not Lisboa Jerusalem, it's Honey Stay in Paris.
I think I was immediately put off when he came out with his cover song and he had a quirky suitcase in a music box, and I was like, oh no, you're one of those kind of singers. Like that's your shtick. I kind of grew to like the song as it went on. I kind of feel like maybe there's a lot of wordplay involved in it, I think. And maybe being a native French speaker, it would be easier to understand it. But it didn't quite click with me. I can see that this will definitely have fans, but it just isn't the kind of style that I particularly like. He's a good singer though. Like he wasn't probably, I preferred his cover. And then he did Lisboa Jerusalem, and it was like, oh, this is fine, but it just felt overly wordy in a foreign language, and that's not necessarily a great thing, because not a lot of people in Europe speak French as well. If this went to Eurovision, that's going to be a bit of a downfall for it.
Totally. Now, when we look at the total scores, we had Madame Monsieur at 56, then Max on 54, then we had those two acts on 46, and now we have a bit of a dip to 26 points. Just quickly go into the others. Sweem Laut, I love his voice. I think it's really nice, but the song is just a little repetitive and boring, and there's not enough shape. I think if he had a stronger song, he could be a real contender, because I love the voice.
I think it was interesting. I think the French jury would have actually put him through. And I think it would have been Igit would have been out. It was Igit or Nassi. I think it was Igit though. Yeah, I was just mainly put off by the fact, like, if Monzello shaved his head, that's kind of like, I was trying to work out for a good, like, minute and a half of the song, who does he look like? The song is fine. It's just, it's a bit too sparse for me. I think that, again, if it was at Eurovision, this would go nowhere. I think, generally speaking, the quality of the songs in this semi-final was slightly lower than the quality of the songs in the first semi-final, or the performances didn't quite match up. There were at least maybe 5 or 6 songs that could and probably should have gone through from last week, and I would have mainly probably only said Madame, Monsieur and Max from this week. So, yeah, I wasn't upset by any of the results, mainly because I just had 2 that I really liked, and then Sweem, yeah.
And so then we have 3 acts who each got 8 points: Jane, Constance, Sarah, Kaibo, and June the Girl. So starting with Jane Constance, the song just doesn't do it for me. I think she's got a great voice. She's a very sweet performer. There's some kind of charisma and charm there. She's very likable. But the song just let her down. Yeah,
it was sort of stereotypical. This is something that you would see on on the X Factor or The Voice. Like it's a general, not even a winner song. Like, hey, this is what you're going to do this week. Just go out and do it. It didn't have that hook that you need, and she's a very good performer, but this just wasn't right for her.
It's almost like a Junior Eurovision song, but without the screaming, if you know what I mean. In any case, next was Sarah with To a Monk. This was darker than I thought it would be. It's like, I miss you and I'm crazy, and I'm going to appear in your window with a knife. It kind of put me off. She can sing. There is a Celine Dion quality to her, like my sister said in a previous video. There's something very nice about her voice, but the song is just, it put me off. It wasn't warm, and I wanted something warm.
If you're going to do kind of like stereotypical French chanson kind of style, then you need to do it like, Patricia Cass, when she came out in 2009, that was stunning because it felt timeless. This, again, it was kind of that dated thing. Noé last week, at least, actually, that kind of has grown on me since then, but this is just kind of like, it was singing for the sake of singing, and there wasn't really that much more to it. She's obviously got a great voice, but there probably is a very good song out there for her, and that really shows it off. But this just kind of just plodded along, and then it was over.
Oh, okay. This next one, June the Girl, same. Huge fan favorite going in because the snippet is strong. I rewatched the video this morning. Was she lip syncing the chorus? Was that playback?
Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter were saying this is definitely playback. It was rough.
It didn't fit with the rest of the song, because the rest of the song was like, the vocals were like this, and then suddenly the chorus was just amazing. And this is a shame, because I think she looks great. I think she's got a presence to her, and I think the song, the studio cut, I think is quite strong. But then live, you could call, I don't want to say train wreck, but it was certainly derailed. It wasn't the smooth ride we were hoping for.
This would be what would have happened if they did given Blanche more choreography. Like, they should have kind of gone with that vibe, like, keep it very simple, keep her centered, and maybe you could get away with it, because she seemed nervous. She definitely does have a presence, but I don't think they used it in the right way. It was just awkward to watch it at points. The song, I think, does have potential. But it just, the playback, it was obvious. It was so obvious what she was doing that it was like, you can't get away with that at Eurovision. No. Samra maybe, but that was a backing singer. But yeah, it was a letdown. It was a real letdown.
Yeah, wiwiblogger Etienne, he said in his preview post, she should have spent less time on her digital marketing strategy and more time on her vocals. Yeah. Even the LED was great. Everything was great except for the vocal performance, which is a shame. But maybe next time she can flip it around, because I'm going to download that track. That was real good. And in last place, we have Lucy with My World. 0 points. It was just a bit forgettable. Yeah.
I think that maybe if it hadn't been on first, it might have been a bit more memorable, but it wasn't a perfect vocal performance. Again, she seemed a bit out of breath towards the end, and At that point, if you're on first with a mostly forgettable song, it's not going to go anywhere. I feel sorry that she got 0. I don't think it deserved 0.
It was better than the zeros in the other heat.
Yeah, even a couple would have been better than nothing. It was a bit harsh. I would like to see her back, certainly.
Yeah. She's very attractive, very sweet, very youthful. There's a lot going for her, but again, you gotta have a song, y'all. You gotta have a song. In any case, that is what we think. What do you think? Did you approve of the semifinal 2 results? Do you think that Madame Monsieur have cleared a path to victory next weekend? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
And make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you get all of our videos the moment they come out.
And we will see you later. Bye!
Bye!